initial reactions of Berenice's record from this past weekend at London, I believe it was?
So the French national record she ran for the full mile, which many European nations don't run as often as we do in America, so it's a bit more unique to go after it. The meet she was in actually took place in Monaco, which is one of the fastest Diamond League competitions on a year-over-year basis. So it was awesome that she got a chance to compete into it. And the fact that she even just got invited into the race was incredible, because essentially down the list is world championship athletes. Many of them have already qualified for the world championships in their respective countries for either that event, perhaps the 800, 3K steeple, or the 5K as well. So it was a phenomenal race, and the fact that it was set up for a world record, all she really had to do was just hang on. The tactics were pretty minimal, but just seemed amazing. So when I saw her name on the list for it, I was like, this is going to be an incredible opportunity no matter what happens for her across the board. And she did have another countryman in the race from France with her. I got a chance to actually watch the race and seeing it. Well, saw her race for about 75% of the race until the world record leader, the individual, the woman, Faith Kipyegon, who set the world record, was so far out in front that they had to keep panning back and forth to her and the rest of the field. But saw Berenice in the backside and just took her time steadily moving up throughout the field for the back group, being patient, knowing where to put herself, and was running lights out across the board. So knew it was going to be a pretty solid day for her. Then had to wait eventually for results to pop up, and when it did, it was fantastic and awesome to see. I saw the mile record. I was not up to date until she messaged me later in the full listing that the Diamond League is so thorough in the results that they actually took splits for every 100 meters of the race, and that's where she got a 1,500 meter split overall, which ended up being 4:03.91, which is a PR, not just a mile PR, but a 1,500 PR, and that ends up being 0.41 seconds off the world championship standard. So she's very, very close to that, but her world ranking should be bumped up quite high. We'll see after this weekend. This weekend she's going into the French National Championships, which I believe is a 2-round system. If she wins outright, pretty high probability that she does get invited in to go to the World Championships. If she doesn't win, then it becomes more of a debate amongst the French Federation of whether they invite her or not.
I feel like a lot of people don't appreciate how big a deal this is, because it's super cool that
Yeah.
she's been a part of that, and just to be in the race with the world record, the world record race, probably the fastest women's race ever.
For the women's mile race, it's the fastest ever in history. You have the world record that was set was lowered by nearly 5 seconds. I think it was 4 3/4 roughly is what you're looking at. So that's over a full second per lap when you're racing, which is crazy to think about. The next field of women, so in the 15 women that lined up, 2 of them were pacers, 13 of them finished. 12 of the 13 ran lifetime best, the fastest they've ever run before for that distance. And there was at least 7 national or area records set for the mile, which is just unheard of. I can't think of another race that I've ever seen in history, maybe over 50 years plus, and something like this has happened in a single race. So again, there is a little bit of mystique to it because the mile itself is not run very often, but to put it in perspective, Faith Kipyegon, who set the world record in the women's mile, also set the world record in the 1,500 earlier this summer and the 5,000 meters. So it wasn't a joke of an attempt by any means. It was an incredible event to watch. Yeah, and for Berenice just to have the opportunity to be a part of it is incredible, let alone for her to add to that history of setting not only a personal best, but a French national record as well, was a lot to be proud of. So an amazing, awesome thing to be a part of.
Yeah. What's it going to take for her specifically, training-wise, mentally-wise, to going into Worlds, qualifying, and then even into next year for Paris, the Olympics?
Yeah, for her, I'd say even more immediately this weekend, since the French system is a little different than the American system. So in the American system, you finish top 3, and as long as you either have the World Championship standard or the World Championship ranking, you get to go to the World Championship. It's that simple, 1, 2, 3 across the board. In the French system, they pretty much send the national champion first, and then after that, it's not a guarantee. You either have to have the world standard, and even sometimes they may not send you, or you have to have the world ranking, and that's hit or miss as well. So if she wins the French National Championship outright this weekend, it seems like a really high probability that she pretty much is guaranteed to go to the World Championship. If she finishes second, I'd say it's probably a 60 to 70% chance she still gets invited to go. If she finishes third, it's more 50-50 at that point in time. So it's a little challenging. I don't have an exact answer. It's a little more complicated in how they break down the system. But hopefully it will work out for her. She's gotten much better in her racing tactics, especially when she's racing against her fellow countrymen as well. She very much wants to be the one going to the World Championships, without a doubt. But the World Championships take place in August, and there are a few more races after that. I would imagine for her, I haven't talked recently to her, but if she makes it to Worlds, she may do 1-2 small races after that, but pretty likely World Championships would probably be it. That's such a big high in our sport that, you know, the World Championships, the Olympics, it doesn't get any bigger. That's our Super Bowl, if you will, our NBA Finals, the World Series. So to continue to try to race off after that adrenaline rush that you get becomes pretty challenging to get yourself back up again in the next coming weeks to do so. So it would probably be a down period, and then start preparing yourself mentally for what it's going to take to get to the Olympics in Paris next year. Especially being her home country, she is very excited. That's one of the biggest things she talked about after graduating here and moving on, was building towards an opportunity to get to the Olympics. So as close as she is to the Olympic standard right now, I think the way training's going, keeping herself healthy, she has a really good chance to continue to bump up and go after that Olympic standard next year and solidify herself a guaranteed spot into the Olympics next year.
Well, that's pretty much all I have. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about it?
I think for us being a D2 institution where our program's been growing, it's been awesome just to see where Berenice was when she came into our program, the heights that she achieved with us, even at the D2 level. And it's awesome to see her finding a place in a home that's allowing her to continue to excel and grow as well and get faster. That's not always a guarantee for athletes when they move on after college. It's a gamble and a risk for a lot of them. Whether you're taking a contract that maybe pays out a lot but isn't guaranteeing that you're going to run fast, a lot of it is, again, much like the college search, finding a program that's going to work well for you. And I know she had her doubts and was nervous about it going in, but without a doubt at this point, I think all those doubts have been squashed, and she feels really confident and excited about where she's going, which is awesome to see. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.